Good afternoon. Um, you know how I feel about talking to you guys on Thursday in regards to the previous game. We so far removed, but I will say that I was extremely proud of the coaches and players and how we performed. I thought the coaches did an outstanding job in our preparation and getting these guys ready to play, and I thought the players did an outstanding job for us going out and executing. Everything we do starts up front. Our D-line is really the focal point of this defense. You can't say enough about 54 and 57 and what they do, the best two in the league. But I think there's a position group that gets overlooked quite a bit in the secondary. They're playing phenomenal football, and I want to make sure that I recognize those guys with the performance that they have played with the last several weeks. I think Mooney is doing an outstanding job, trying to mirror and follow the top receiver. Demo is being able to kick inside and play nickel because of the play that we're getting out of Ambry and stepping in and performing at a high level. So kudos to those guys. And on the back end, you talk about Gibb, the leader back there, along with Jair, who has stepped up since Huff has been out. Those guys are playing well. And it's going to be a difficult task this week. A lot of respect for Pete Carroll and that coaching staff. Thanksgiving Day game has nothing to do with our performance and how we're going to play on Sunday, nor does last week. We gotta go earn this one. We got to go earn this one. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Anthony was saying after the game that what the D-line did was so counter to its DNA, being so patient and kind of deliberate. Was that difficult in the week of practice to kind of get them to be other than what they're used to being?
It's always hard to try to really deter from your identity, but it's all about, the element that particular week, the situation, and what's best for the defense. And kudos to those guys, Kasarik and Tap up front for, number one, implementing the game plan and those guys going out executing. It wasn't about trying to get stats this particular game. It was about making sure that we maintain our rush lanes and then rush past the quarterback, not giving them an opportunity to be able to step up inside in the A and B gaps.
Shed some light on how you go about coaching that or implementing that type of a game plan that is so kind of drastically different during the course of the year?
It's just, discipline, and constant repetition of what you want. And I just thought the guys did a great job trying to execute and, not, being very unselfish in doing their job this past weekend. So I was excited to see that. And once again, I know a lot of times everything is predicated off production and sacks and those kind of things, but they executed the game plan. It was great.
How rare is it to find a group that is so unselfish like that?
This whole group, this whole defense is that way. You can see even at the end of the game when Khalil got his sack, KD. Everybody on the sideline was so excited. You even saw Debo, you saw Trent, you saw Juice. Everybody was so excited for him, and that's just how this team is. Very unselfish players.
With Mooney, is there something he's been doing differently that's really just taken his game to another level the last couple months?
I don't want to say so much different, besides, definitely going with the number one receiver. I think his level of confidence is there. I think, he's playing with great technique, eyes in the right spot, bless you. And I think he's just, really locked in and focused.
Kennedy was saying that since the bye, Javon Kinlaw has gotten a little bit better and better. You're there watching them early in practice. What exactly is Kinlaw doing over this last month that is noticeable?
Well, I can really go back even beyond that, and I know you guys heard me talk about Kinlaw back in the spring when we were talking about guys who I think are going to have a great year. I think the number one thing with him is he's healthy, unlike he's been in the past. And then there's one word that you're alluding to, which is he's playing consistent. You know, he's really been consistent these last couple of weeks. I love the way he's playing with lower pad level. Really, as we talk about all the time, trying to create a new line of scrimmage, playing on their side of the ball. Everything we do is about penetration, and you can see that with him.
Steve, on the Kinlaw sack, Hurts held the ball for a long time, and you guys had held up on the back end, tremendous coverage. How did you get from Cincinnati, where it seemed like everybody was open, to where you guys are at now in coverage? What kinds of things did you work on to get from there to here?
I think everything is different, maybe based off the call. We always have a certain term and terminology, as we call plaster, when the quarterback starts to scramble and get outside the pocket. And that's been a point of emphasis last couple of weeks, particularly with Jalen Hurts, with his ability to, extend plays. It's the same thing with Geno. So we got to do a great job in coverage. And then when he's ready to try to, start winning with his legs, we got to do a great job on the back end for his plastering and staying with receivers. And that's what you saw this past week.
What did Logan Ryan add to your defense?
A lot of experience, 2 Super Bowls, and, a wealth of knowledge where he can communicate and talk to these young guys, particularly on the back end. And then also just understanding he's coming into a culture that he's probably used to. These guys know how to work. They go about their business a different way each and every day. So I think with him coming in, it's going to be a smooth and easy transition for him.
When you see Jair Brown as a full-time starter, Jair?
I like the word confidence. He's very confident. I love how he's communicating and talking. He's really taking the initiative to be that vocal guy back there. We always say all the time, the formation is talking to you. You got to listen with your eyes. It's telling you certain things. He's communicating and verbalizing that with guys out there, which is allowing him to be able to play fast and be in position to make plays.
Steve, what's the key to Kalia Davis? We haven't seen a lot of him, but he's obviously a very talented player. What do you like about his game?
Khalil has really, the whole time when he wasn't in there, he kept that mindset of just waiting for his opportunity, and for him to seize it the way he did this past week was glorifying for not only him but for everybody. Good pad level. He's very strong. I love the way he comes off the ball, uses his hands well, and good lateral movement where he can shed and get down the line of scrimmage and chase things down. So he's going to be getting a lot of reps here coming up soon.
Seahawks have only had one game since you saw them last, but it was
Who was that?
The Seahawks.
Yeah.
But it was a really good game, obviously. Was there anything that popped out or jumped off the screen to you just from
Explosive plays, DK, of course. We know at any time he can make those kind of plays. That's what popped off. I know they're running the ball well, trying to run it more. That was really Coach Carroll's mindset and trying to get these guys going, which is going to open up the play action for them. So I assume Walker's going to be back. That's my mindset. That's our mindset. So it's going to be a difficult task. And like I said before, Thanksgiving Day last week doesn't have anything to do with how we're going to perform and win this football game. And that's our mentality. So we're going to have to go out and earn it. And I know it's going to be a tough, hard battle. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
You probably know and can appreciate Kyle has a few times this season said Christian McCaffrey's mentality is that of like a walk-on or undrafted guy, like still trying to prove himself and, hey coach, sorry, or hey coach, did you see that? Or, obviously elite players have special qualities, but that seems pretty rare to not seemingly ever kind of feel like you've arrived or ease up even a little. Is that unique in your experience?
It is unique. Yeah, he's a very unique guy. But I say this: it's not. He's also very confident, very, very confident in his ability, and very much has a chip on his shoulder to show everybody that he, how good he is. But his work ethic is one of it's never good enough. It's really cool. It's really cool to see a guy that's really shooting for perfection. And he's not afraid to say that he's fallen short, but he's always progressing, always working. So it's really, really impressive to watch how hard he works, how diligent he is. I mean, there's so many little things that he does. On Debo, the last screen pass touchdown that we ran, Christian's on the backside, and he fakes like a flare screen. And that backside linebacker who almost caught Debo, as Debo was coming up to score, there was a guy that was right there they had to outrun. I think he's going to outrun him either way. If Christian dogs that just a little bit, if Christian doesn't, I mean, how much time was left in the game and how many plays had Christian played? He took out of there with his hands in the air like he was catching the screen and pulled that linebacker out of there. That's why we scored. I mean, the guys did a nice job blocking it, but ultimately the play went in because Christian, every little thing he looks at is what he can do better. And that is rare. That's really rare. And that's why he's a great player.
I was talking about how that he's the best player he's ever been around without the ball in his hands. When you think about what he does with the ball in his hands, that's pretty remarkable. Is that just one example?
That's one example. Exactly, one example. There was a day, it was really funny. Kyle pointed it out. And he does it all over the field. And I don't watch. I'm locked in more on the guys up front most days. But he was, I don't know what the play was. I can't picture, but he was releasing on the backside to block somebody. Actually, it was a run play or something that we had to draw, or I don't remember what the play was. He was going to block somebody. And when he was running out to block him, he set up and started to act like he was going to run a route. So the guy would look to cover to Matt, and then he went and blocked him. You know, it's just every little thing he can look to gain an advantage or look to what he can do without the ball in his hands, he does. It's outstanding.
What do you think of Jalen Carter? It seems like you guys kept him pretty quiet. He's enormously talented. What do you think of the job you guys did?
Well, I think the guys did a really good job. I think the game went well for us. You know, we started off and obviously had a couple series there that weren't as good. And Jalen's a very, very talented and good player. And he did have some good plays in there. You know, our guys we managed to, you know, convert on some third downs, keep them on the field, work our plan and do things we talked about doing. And Aaron did a nice job. And wherever they put him, the guys really battled and did a good job against them.
On the tape a couple times, it popped out that Burford was finishing plays way down the field, even on the Debo touchdown you referred to. He got like on one last block on that far side. Is there? I don't know if that's been something he's been doing all year, or is there a point of emphasis of like, hey, we need you to finish more here? Is that an area that he's grown in? I guess
he's grown in that area. I mean, he always did, but there was a, I said it last year. There's always a couple times it happens with guys. It's like you're getting to the point of contact. You're getting to the point of doing your assignment, and you're just not quite finishing. You're just not quite getting on a guy and staying on him. And I said, you know, truly, an old coach, Dennis Green of mine, used to say, he said, you know, blocking a guy is no more. He said, Chris, you can talk all this stuff about being O-lineman and techniques and all. He said, but when the ball carrier gets there, are you on your guy? And he doesn't make the tackle. That's what I tell my guys. So I get all this, but guys, your guy made the tackle or your guy got in on the tackle, so that's not good enough. So whatever we have to do to make sure your guy that you were responsible for isn't hitting the guy at the end of the play. And that, I think, eventually rings true with guys who realize, oh, I got to keep doing this. Blocking him for a little bit, then letting him go and letting him run, and maybe he gets in on the tackle later isn't acceptable. And everything we do in our offense comes from Kyle, that everybody's expected to finish. Everybody's expected. Our plays last because the wide zone, it's longer. You start on the left hash, and the ball goes out to the numbers, and then it runs downfield, and everybody's got to block their guys all that far, and it ends up being just a little bit longer that we have to maintain our contact and our blocks. And it's a process for young guys coming in to learn that.
Is that as good a game as the offensive line has played this year?
I don't know. That's you guys always. I don't. Sorry. The guys played okay. They did a good job. I mean, this group of guys, I don't ever want to I'm not bad mouthing. I know you guys know that. I love this group, man. They really work hard for us every single day, but we're a work in progress still. There was a lot of good things in that game. We managed the crowd. We were able to, the two tackles did a really nice job on those guys. And the interior plays, they had some beasts in there, and they were a challenge. And, Brock did a good job with getting the ball out. Kyle did a good job getting the play calls. It all works together. When we look good, 9 times out of 10, it's because everything else around us is going well. But the guys did. The guys were serious-minded. They wanted to go in and do it. I was honest with them. I told them, and I didn't say it, if I look back at that championship game from a year ago, I was nervous we weren't going to block them as well. You know, I didn't know I was going to play it. We never got a chance to see because the game went a different direction, obviously with the injury to Brock. But man, I don't know. And then we went in there. The guys did a good job. Now that's one game, and if we happen to, who knows what happens? If we see him again, don't see him again. The guys did a nice job, but I'm not going to crown anybody yet.
Trent was saying that the last time you guys played Seattle, Banks, he was really banged up going into that game, kind of played to it, but he felt like it was a really kind of a turning point game for Aaron because he was able to tough it out and still perform. Just in what ways have you seen him him grow in terms of, maybe putting it on the line and those types of things?
Aaron last year did a great. I mean, he came through everything last year and had a really nice season last year and came out as one of our better linemen. And the energy that he plays with on game day, the enthusiasm, the effort he plays with, that's outstanding. And he continues to work on his craft to get better at it. That was big for him because a lot of times guys there's injury and hurt, right? And I'll flat tell you the story. He and I are talking about when he's coming out of getting ready to play the game, and he's like, we went out, we were working during the week, and I'm like, he goes, we were in the stadium, it was a short week, and we had a couple of guys stay out and push on him to see if he was ready, if his toe was able to anchor. And he goes, he calls me that night. He goes, I just don't think I can play. I can't anchor, And I said, okay, let's talk about how many times in a game you're going to be one-on-one by yourself needing to anchor where Jake won't be there, Trent won't be there, or we're running the ball where the anchor really doesn't matter, and all these things. And I said, we're talking about 5 to 10% of the game. So I'm not telling you to play hurt, which I wasn't. I said, and that's a point where, like Trent said, I can play at 75 or 80%. Well, for Aaron, that's like 90 or 95% because there's 5 or 10% of that game that he might struggle with, but it was good to get out there and start playing and get over that hump. And that's part of a process for a young guy. The difference between injury and hurt is two different things. And nobody's asking. I said, Aaron, I'm not asking you. If you don't feel comfortable playing this game, don't play this game. And if the trainers, but he'd been cleared medically, but there were some parts of his game that weren't he didn't feel comfortable with. But that's part of the process you learn. You say, I can play this way. I've told you guys a story before about Jonathan Ogden. He's like, this guy can play at this percentage, this guy I can't. And Trent, to his credit, in the Cleveland game, he was at that whatever percentage he was. If it wasn't Myles Garrett, he probably would have looked a lot. But he went out there and really didn't look great for the majority of the game, but knew he had to tough it out in those instances. Well, that's a guy that's done this enough to say he's not putting himself at risk. He's not going to hurt himself anymore, knowing he's not 100%, but he can do most things well enough that we could have success. And then it's my job. Trent in the championship game a couple years ago against the Rams probably shouldn't have been out there. And it was his first championship game. It was really hard for me to say, Trent, and everybody was like, but we got to let the guy, he's a warrior, let's let him tough it out. He's done it before, but he really couldn't perform at a level that was acceptable. And he's even said it, Colton probably should have played more in that game. And that's a trade-off. And it's like I said, none of us are trying to, that's a long answer, but I want to make sure it's very clear. None of us are asking how to play hurt. None of us are. But the 100% in this league is everybody gets hurt. And everybody has to play through bumps and bruises, and you have to figure that out. And that's what's happened with Aaron. That's part of one of the many things that he's grown in that process. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.